Soul 3 by Wdowski, 2025. Chapter 6. Dale and Zup dismounted and tied their horses to the well where there was a water trough. Josh and his wife went about retrieving their arrows. Dale turned his attention to searching the demonoid dead. He found they were armed with steel short swords or battle axes. One, though he guessed was their leader, was equipped with a finer steel long sword. He wielded it in his hand. It had a surprisingly good weight and balance to it. Walking up to Zup, he handed the sword to him. "This should give you a much better reach when mounted." Zup took the weapon and examined it. His superior sense of smell made his face recoil at the odor of the weapon. "Thanks." He immediately took out a rag and wet it from the well. He wiped down the blade and hilt a few times until he felt the odor was gone. "If they were not so short, I could have reached them with my short sword." He threw the rag into the burning cabin. "Most likely, but they are little red buggers. The long sword will be better. When we return to my settlement, I'll get you a proper saber." "You are too kind," Zup smiled. Dale returned the smile and looked back at Josh and Encha. Josh was refilling his quiver. "I don't think you two should stay here. The one that got away could return with a larger force. Are there any other Quadtrons in the area?" "No, we are the only ones this far south," Josh replied. Dale looked at the sun that was re-emerging from behind the clouds. "We have another 3 hours of daylight. If I remember correctly, there is a human fishing village not too far from here. I think you should join us." He looked about their homestead for a corral with horses. Not seeing any, he asked, "You don't have any horses?" "The great author has blessed our kind with superior mutations. We have no need for them." "Mutations?" Zup questioned. "They were originally humans. It is believed that after our grand war, the Quadtrons evolved," Dale replied. "Yes, as it was written, our double chest cavities give us 2 hearts and double the lung capacity of our human cousins. We can easily keep up with your mounts," he proudly responded. "Our eyesight and hearing are superior too," Encha added. Late afternoon. The four had continued east on the King's Road, leaving the burning cabin behind them. Josh and Encha, as they had said, were easily keeping up with them. Josh and Encha both took out jerkies from their leather strapped-on bags. Both carried bows and arrow quivers on their backs. Josh had 2 long curved swords on both his hips. "Jerky," he offered both Dale and Zup. "Sure." Dale took 2 and handed one to Zup. He took a bite. "Very good." Zup took out 2 Neathan traveler's bars of grain, nuts, and dried fruits from his backpack. He handed them to Dale to offer to Josh and Encha in return. Dale offered the bars to them. "No, thank you. We do not eat any plants." Josh waved one of his bluish hands. "Why?" asked Zup. "We are devoted to defending the most vulnerable forms of life," Encha explained. "Plants cannot easily defend themselves. They cannot fight or run away from those that would consume them. We are strict carnivores. We hunt and eat only herbivores that would devour the weakest among us. We respect other carnivores and would never feed upon them." Josh explained further. "How about omnivores? You don't eat omnivores, I hope?" Dale asked, handing the 2 bars back to Zup. After he asked, he thought about how delicious bacon is, and realized that he eats fellow omnivores. "No, we do not eat omnivores. They are not as sacred as pure carnivores, but at least they do eat meat. Hopefully they will someday learn from their wicked ways and eat only the meat of herbivores. Herbivores that are the terror of the most gentle and meek life form, plants," Encha added. Dale gave a sigh of relief. "Good to know." He smiled at Josh and Encha. Dusk. The road finally brought them to the small human fishing village on a small bay. Their boats were all coming in and unloading their day's catches onto the 3 docks. To the west, the sun's orange rays glowed from behind the horizon. They could all smell the sea air as twilight fell upon them. 2 men armed with harpoons approached them. "Can we help you?" The men addressed Dale, a bit wary of seeing a human with a Neathan and 2 Quadtrons. "Lodging for the night would be nice," Dale responded, noticing the men's unease with his companions. "They are my friends. No reason to fear them," he tried assuring the men. One of the men pointed to a building near the docks. The shanty inn you can get grub and lodging. Behind it is a stable for your mounts. They have vacancies? Asked Zup. Both men smiled as the one who first spoke answered. You're in luck. Our tourist season just ended. Both men laughed. Ha ha, Dale responded and turned to Zup, who looked very confused. They have plenty of vacancies. Oh, good. Zup smiled and laughed too, still not understanding what was so funny. Shanty Inn. The four sat at one of the many empty tables. Only a couple tables on the opposite side of the large room had local fishermen at them. The innkeeper approached them. His face seemed a bit sour, as if he had just been scolded by his wife. How may I help you? We need food and lodging. 2 rooms if possible, Dale answered. A hot meal and pints of beer. Josh waved his hand. No beer for us, just water, please. Alcohol? Is that against your faith too? Dale asked. Not alcohol itself, but beer is made from grain, plant life. We have mead, made from honey. The innkeeper injected. Josh smiled. Yes, 2 meads then. What do you have in the kitchen? Dale asked, smelling seafood. Blues are in season, and we have black sea bass, fluke, striped bass, lobster, steamers, oysters. That would not do. Encha shook her head. Fish are all carnivores. Do you have any meat of herbivores? Some mutton. The innkeeper replied, puzzled by the Quadtrons. Mutton for us then, answered Josh. Lobster for the 2 of us. Zup ordered my treat. He placed a gold coin on the table and looked at the innkeeper. Will this cover all our food and lodging? The innkeeper picked up the coin, felt the weight in his hand, and then raised it to his mouth to gently bite down on it. This will cover food and lodging for a month. Excellent, but we only need 1 night. You can keep the change, Zup smiled. The innkeeper's face lit up. Thanks, I'll get your food and drinks right out to you. As the innkeeper left to fill their order, 2 locals approached their table. The men both smelled of the ocean. Their faces were weathered and covered in rough whiskers. They looked with a bit of disgust at Josh and Encha. Why are you blue? One finally blurted out. Dale stood up. That was unnecessary. Josh looked up at the man and smiled. It is as how the great author has written us. Our coloring gives us an advantage when hunting in the woods early dawns and twilights. It also helps to attract our mates. Encha replied, taking hold of both of Josh's left arms with her 2 right arms. Well, I don't think it is normal, replied the other man, seeming to be looking for a fight. Josh stood up a head taller than the 2 men. Zup also stood, also towering over the 2 locals. You are correct. Our kind is not normal. The great author has written us to be a very special and unique people. Thank you for noticing, Josh smiled. The men were shocked by the lack of fear in the strangers. The innkeeper came out with their pints of beer and mead. He looked annoyed at the 2 men. Thomas, Johnny, I hope you're not disturbing my guests. Just welcoming them to our village, Thomas answered. He looked up at Josh. Welcome. They then looked at each other and decided backing off would be their best option. They quickly returned to their mates at a table on the other side of the room. The 3 males sat back down. Idiots, Dale said under his breath. Morning. The 4 met outside the shanty inn. All were well rested as they watched the fishing boats raise their sails and push off from the docks. The sun was halfway over the eastern horizon. It looked as if it was going to be a beautiful day. Dale enjoyed the sound of the seagulls and waves lapping against the shoreline. He took in the crisp early autumn air. Do you eat waterfowl or even chickens? Zup suddenly asked Josh. A well-written day to you too, Zup. Josh responded, You are fascinated with our diet? Sorry. Yes, good morning to you, Josh and Encha. Zup apologized but returned to his questioning. I am just very curious. There are just so many wonderful foods you are not enjoying. Fruits, cakes, biscuits. He took a deep breath, taking in the aroma of bread being baked in the inn. And bread, fresh baked morning bread. Josh closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and smiled. I admit I do enjoy the smell of fresh baked bread. He opened his eyes and looked at Zup, who was at the same height. It is a small sacrifice to make, to prove our devotion to the great author. Do you have a holy book that tells you all this? Asked Dale, leading the small group to retrieve their horses. Our beliefs are taught orally from generation to generation, Josh replied. No worries about the story being changed each time it is told? Have you ever played Whispers as a child? Whispers. Josh was not familiar with the human game. What is it? Also asked Zup as they moved behind the inn to the stables. You have 10 to 20 children. The first writes a sentence on a piece of paper, folds it so the others cannot see. He or she whispers the sentence on the paper into another child's ear. That child then whispers the sentence to another child. One after another they whisper the sentence to different children, Dale explained, taking hold of his mount and leading it out of the stable as Zup led out his. The last child says the sentence out loud for all to hear. Then the first child opens the piece of paper and reads the original sentence. Why is this fun for human children? Zup asked as they both mounted their horses. The fun part is how much the sentence had changed. It is never the same sentence from the first child to the last, Dale pointed out. Makes the point to not trust gossip and the importance of the written word. We do not have a written language, Encha confessed. Dale was a bit shocked. You believe in a great author that writes out all of our lives, yet you have not developed a written language. What of English, the language used before the Grand War? Can you read and write English at least? English. The three all questioned Dale. It is what we are speaking now, common. It is actually called English and has a phonetic writing system. You can read and write it? Encha was impressed. Yes, most human children are taught to. I am sure even those two local morons from last night can read and write. Probably not very well, but still. Encha and Josh raised all their hands palms out towards Dale as they bowed their heads to him. We had never known that our human cousins were so divine. We are not, I promise you. Humans are far from divine. Dale responded as he led the group back onto the King's Road, continuing their journey east.